It's based off a Pulitzer Prize winner. Okay. All right. You ready?
It's pronounced Pulitzer.
Oh my God.
It is.
No, it's not.
Pulitzer.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Google it.
Pulitzer.
Yikes.
So this movie stars Frances McDormand. It's directed by Chloe Zhao. No matter what is about to be said, this is one of the best movies, not only of the last year, but the last several years. And he wouldn't have disagreed with me unless Chris would have said that, because you liked it when we watched it.
I didn't say it wasn't good. I just don't know if I would give it that type of rating.
Just
Definitely of last year. Definitely of last
Okay.
year. I will absolutely concede that. Not of, what'd you say, the last decade?
no. I just said the last few years.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a weak
Okay.
few years.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, because I don't have a positive feeling on this one. So one of you two who feels positive should definitely start.
Okay, so the reason I liked it so much is I thought I was going to loathe this movie. I thought I was going to hate it. So it was I think I'm going to hate it, but we have to watch it. Let's get through it. And then it was way better than I was expecting. So that's why I like it so much. What did you think going in? What were your expectations? Because I had not none, I had low expectations.
Chloe Zhao, I was expecting more, honestly. I thought it was going to be a lot more substantive than it was. It felt kind of like empty and wasn't really saying anything meaningful. It seemed like a bunch of platitudes that are just totally empty and that have been said a million times before and are like really fake deep. It was like trying to act like it was some big heady cerebral thing, and it was really playing it like that, and it was really trying to make us think that it was that, and it was not. It was just, it was platitudes. That's all it was. It was nothing. It was saying something, but it wasn't deep or meaningful in what it was saying. It was just like, oh wow, money isn't that good, and maybe we should live beyond that, and we should find ourselves outside of like capitalist society, and like, sure, that's cool, but who the cares? Like, we've heard that so many times for so long. Like, I don't care about that story anymore.
Yeah.
It's so old, it's so overdone. And to frame this in such a like heady way and be like, wow, look at what we're doing with this, it's so meaningful, and then say something like that,
Yeah.
I'm not into that. It is so like fake deep, trying to say something, look at us, look at how deep this is, and it was not.
So I think film is subjective, and obviously everybody's going to have their own opinions, except for on this film, because this film is great. So I didn't get that at all, though. So my kind of I don't know that it was trying to necessarily say something. I think the way Zhao approaches her films is from like a character basis. So it's not really about like the world itself, maybe, which I mean, you're going to draw some comparisons because of the stuff they talk about, but just showing the life of this specific character who is based off a real person. And so to me, I wasn't getting like the platitudes and stuff like that. I don't know. I think she has this character who, she lost her husband. It's not a spoiler, it happened before the movie starts. And
We don't even see that in the movie.
yeah, and she's lost her job, and basically she lost everything that she had except even her house. And like, she loved her house, she liked looking out back and all that stuff, and like, she has so much memory attached to that. But when she loses everything and has nothing, she just decides to live with no means, basically, and just kind of explore. What?
She decides to join a cult is what she does.
How is it culty?
The van cult that she's in, and they have like their leader, the old guy with the beard who's always talking to him and preaching and being like, oh, we need to get rid of our material possessions, and they're like throwing shit into the fire, and they're like always surrounding this guy. They even set up their like, I don't even know what to call it, their gatherings. When everyone in this like van group is all together, they like set up a bunch of chairs that like encircle this guy as he preaches at them and says like really weird cultish stuff.
Oh yeah,
And
I
it's
will
like,
agree with that.
yeah, it's weird. She like joins a van cult and they just follow each other and they're like living off their means and trading everything with each other. It looks like a cult, honestly, and that's what I thought watching this. I was like,
It's
this
kind
is
of
this is
gypsy
weird.
lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I think I lean more towards Seth because it definitely didn't feel like a movie that was trying to say anything. It felt more like a spotlight of a woman, a race, because like they literally deleted the zip code of the town she's from. I don't know if you knew that. They got rid of the zip code, so she's literally erased. And it's like her story of finding, I don't want to say finding herself, but just finding life again.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt more like a story more than here's a story, but I'm also trying to say X, Y, Z, whatever.
But they made those themes very apparent. Like that was the whole thing. Like she was working at Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Well, yeah.
there's
Well, it's what the
they're
character. It's
talking
what she did
about.
in real life, though.
But that they're making a statement. They wouldn't put that in there if that weren't important. If in Amazon of all places, if they were trying to make that less of something, they would just make it some generic company. They would change it because it's a movie. Whether that was what she did in real life, if they wanted to say something else, they would have said something else, and they didn't. They had her working at Amazon, and they had these messages of throw away our material possessions and these constant themes of money and trying to get by and what we need to move on and only have enough so you can move on, and that's it. Like, it was saying that. It was definitely intentional. If it wasn't, then they would have said something else.
Well, I wonder if they're even trying to criticize Amazon with the way they kind of just throw away these people after they don't need them anymore and they're allowed to come back at certain points.
I don't think it was Amazon in particular. I think it's capitalism.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're just spotlighting Amazon.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
again, they would have used someone else if that wasn't the message.
Yeah.
They would have used a different company. They would have said Cramazon or something, anything, literally anything other than Amazon. You know.
So,
Amazon. That's funny.
I think Zhao specifically has a fascination with people and characters, specifically Americans, and like from not the big city and the small town, because she is from China. She's Asian American. She always fascinates me because her old film, The Writer, is about like a bronc writer and all this stuff, and she uses a bunch of non-actors to try to make it as true as possible. And so she fascinates me the way she just portrays the story, because it's like she's telling her story. Like when you look at who directed it, like you would think that this is somebody who has experienced this, because everything that she's showing you feels so honest, and it just kind of blows me away the way she writes and directs and stuff like that. And it also looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't a fan of how it looked
Oh my
because
God.
it was really washed out. I didn't like how the colors looked. I didn't think there was anything that was particularly like spectacularly framed, or like there was a couple like sort of long shots that were okay. One of them had a nice like tracking camera that was following her as she was walking around, and I think that was the best shot of the whole thing. Everything else was like fine. It wasn't bad, but it was just fine. Like everything was really just average looking, and I think they could have done very little to improve it, and it would have become really good. But the color was so weird and washed out. Everything was really gray and pastel. It was a really weird like color composition that they used, and it really only would stand out at night. But even then, nothing was really like framed that well or composed that well to where I thought, wow, this looks amazing, you know? Everything was just like, yeah, I've seen this scene before in other movies, you know? I've seen this campfire scene. I've seen people sitting around it like this. I've seen the pan up on the embers as they fly. Like, it was just average. Like, I've seen it. It's been done. Like, I've seen this so many times before.
I've never seen a movie like this before.
Well, I mean those scenes, like that shot
I know what
there,
you're saying.
specifically that campfire scene, like I've seen, you know? And the other stuff could have been better if it had better shot composition or better a color palette, you know?
I just think it all looks real to me. Like, I don't think she's trying to, like, I don't think it's like over the top like Blade Runner 49 where it's trying to be stylistic. I just think it's trying to be muted, just like Frances McDormand's character is just kind of presenting it like it is in real life, is how I took it.
I mean, it could look like more realistic if that's what it were going for, though. But it was just really washed out, which I guess, you know, is an artistic choice. I just didn't like it. You know? I don't like how it looks. and it could have done a lot better with the cinematography and like shot composition.
See, that was my favorite part about it, I think. And it kind of looks like there's no makeup on it. You know what I mean? Like it's just
See,
like raw.
yeah.
I would even disagree with that because the fact of it being so washed out made it have like this sort of fuzzy look. It almost looked like some sort of nostalgic like filter over everything because it almost looked like it kind of looks like, you know, when you have the on a digital camera you have the film filter to go over it. That's what it reminded me of. It didn't remind me of like actual film, you know. It didn't have that look. It didn't have high sharpness or noise or anything like that. It just looked like a digital camera with a film filter over it. So I just didn't think it looked very good.
I wonder how much of that changes if we would have seen it in theaters.
Yeah, that was my question. Does your TV just suck?
No, it doesn't.
I mean,
that's a solid question, but this movie is washed out. Like
I don't know. I don't know. It's also like very like almost documentarian because it does adapt like it does make use of like real life nomads. Some of the stories behind it were actually cool. Like I feel like there's only 3 actors in the movie. You have Frances McDormand, David Strathairn, and then the person who plays her sister at the end of the movie, who is one of Frances McDormand's really good friends in real life.
oh yeah.
But otherwise they use like Swanky is like she was a real nomad. A cool story is they just kind of like everywhere they went, they just used the nomads that were there. And so you know the scene where she talks to the younger guy and they're sitting down, that was actually she wanted like an older woman, but when Frances McDormand interacted with him, she took on like something that was very maternal, even though she didn't have kids in real life. But so they just kept him around, and that guy actually ended up getting hired and doing like props and stuff for the rest of the movie.
Oh wow,
which is
nice.
kind of cool.
That's a cool story. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that scene. I thought that was one of my favorite scenes.
But there's just like every time as an actor, I don't love the use of non-actors all the time, and I don't think it works well. I think it worked to its benefit here, and I think it just adds to the honesty of her story, I think. But I don't know. I really loved this movie, and I found it really special.
And I think the use of non-actors was good, but you were talking about how like they did very well and stuff. I was very aware who was a non-actor. It was very apparent every time they came on screen.
Yeah.
And to me it was kind of
But
distracting.
I think she fits in with him though.
No, she does great, but to me it was distracting whenever it was.
It wasn't too bad, but it was distracting. Especially if you're looking for stuff, you know, like you'll notice it.
I was trying not to, but I think it's just kind of subconsciously, you know.
And I think I told you also.
Yeah, you told
that.
me, and so you subconsciously kind of like, oh, that person's definitely not an actor.
I think what compounded that for me was the fact that Frances McDormand was like incredible in this. Like,
oh my god.
The one thing that I will say I feel extremely positive on in this movie is her performance. She was amazing, like incredible. I loved her. She was so good. And that kind of made it more obvious who the non-actors were.
Yeah.
And even the other actors with her.
Even David Strathairn was like,
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, she is way above you guys right now. Like you are not in her league at all. So that just kind of made it even more apparent because she was so good. She was incredible in this.
Yeah. She's a chameleon.
Yeah.
Just always.
I think another problem that I had too is with the music. It was really sparse and infrequent. It didn't happen enough to feel impactful, and I think a lot of scenes would have benefited from like a more like full score, something that was less like I don't know, trying to be like less in the world. You know, it was there, just not enough, and it didn't fill enough scenes. And I think it could have been improved a lot if it had a better. I don't want to say better, just a more like full score. I don't know any other way of phrasing that, but it's just not enough. It's too sparse. I don't know. I just thought that could have been better too.
I think the reason I like this film so much is I watched way too many movies probably, and so I'm always used to like this whole like AB like story pattern, or like this happens and this happens, and like so when it comes to like just these like focused like real characters, like I'm all in. Like it mostly, with the exception of La La Land, most of my favorite movies are like just these character things that just don't necessarily have a pace. We're just with them. Those are my favorite, and those are what affect me the most. So I think that's why I liked this so much. And she like there's so much, like she has so little, and Frances McDormand is so good. Like she goes to check in at this restaurant or whatever, or a hotel or something, and the girl behind the desk says something, and she just does this one thing with her eye. She doesn't get sassy or rude or anything, but you can tell what she's thinking, and I thought that was hilarious, and I started laughing. But then there's also something that literally shatters, and it's heartbreaking, just her reaction to that, and like, because you know how attached she is to it, but to us it's literally nothing. Like if that would have happened, I would have been like, oh well, crap. But like to her, it's like I gasped when we watched it.
Say it happens and you, oh my gosh. All right. Anything else, anybody?
I have more, but I don't want to do it because I don't want to go more negative than I already have.
No, I was like, I had more positive, and I just lost my train of thought.
I could definitely say more, but I don't want to because I don't want to get too bogged down on it.
So, when it gets closer, we'll do a like Oscar recap.
This is exactly what I didn't want to talk about. Now I'm going to say it. This movie to me is such like Oscar bait. Like that is what this is. This is trying so hard to be an awards movie, and I think that's a lot of this stuff. Like with me getting annoyed with it, is just seeing that is it's trying so hard to be that. This is trying to be an Oscar movie, and it feels like it's pandering at that audience really hard, and I get really annoyed with that.
See, I completely disagree because like I'm really into the Oscars, and so like I get to do like an independent study in school, and that's what I wanted to do was the Oscars because I like them so much for some reason. But I think I just like the glamour of it all, you know. But movies like this don't make me think Oscars. This is like indie spirit awards type things. I think like Darkest Hour, like this big like glossy biopics with these huge speeches and stuff like that. That's what I think of when I think Oscar bait. Or like
I don't
like Martin Scorsese or like something shiny like Tarantino, not something like this. Typically stuff like this I feel like gets overlooked. Like I think Hillbilly Elegy was Oscar bait. Failed fucking Oscar bait. Possibly, I don't know.
I think this is going to win a lot of awards.
I agree.
And I think that I'm not going to agree with him, but this is playing exactly to what I expect for that. And I think it's going to win a lot of awards, and I don't agree with that.
I think Frances McDormand's going to get a nomination.
I do agree
easily.
with that one.
Yeah.
I think she could definitely win. There are others that I like that would be in this category.
Yeah, for sure.
But I would not be upset at all if she did because she was what carried this. I think if she were not in this movie, I would be way more negative than I already was. This would be like one of the lowest I've seen this year, if not for her, because she was that good. She was so good.
If she wins, and I don't think she'll win the Oscar just because she won a couple years ago, and she also won for Fargo, so this would be her third Oscar, but it would be her third Best Actress Oscar, which the only person that's done that before is Katharine Hepburn.
Wow.
Meryl Streep has 3 Oscars, but one of hers is supporting. But Katharine Hepburn has 4. But yeah, so I think she'll get nominated. I think Chloe Zhao will get nominated for director, cinematographer, and writing, and then I think it'll win picture maybe or get nominated for picture. But I think it is cool with Zhao getting nominated because she would be the 6th woman I think to ever get nominated, the first Asian woman to get nominated, and if she wins, which she most likely will, she would be the 2nd woman to ever win.
That's amazing.
That is cool. That is very cool.
The 2nd Asian director to win also, because last year Parasite. But
I disagree with it, but I would love to see that.
I think it's, well, I don't want to talk about too much of it now, but once this nomination comes out, I think it'll be interesting to see what actually happens.
For the Oscar episode.
But let's do scores. So, what did you give it, Chris? There are going to be such different scores.
I gave it a 50. It was exceedingly average.
I gave it a 75. 3 out of 5.
I gave it a 94. One of the closer to perfect movies I've seen in a long time. But our number somehow was a 73. But that's how low yours was, because it was that our number is lower than both of our numbers.
Yeah. I could have given it lower if it weren't for her.
This is on Hulu. So if you have a subscription, I say you should definitely watch it.
It's worth the watch.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But all right, we will see you later. Bye.